Alright guys, TacticalRab here, and I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. The CDL is back this evening, the Lil Man battle is back at it again. 04 versus Sim will play each other this evening, but also some drama going down on a vlog released by Scrappy from their event back at Major 3 in Toronto, where they lost in the finals, of course, to OpTic Texas. Big talking points between Scump and Scrappy here, plenty to dive into. Very much enjoy your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. First of all, rumours yesterday that Black Ops 6, of course, coming out later this year, will have a theatre mode. I'm pretty sure that only Treyarch games have ever had theatre modes. I'm not sure all of them have, but certainly from Black Ops 1, this is Black Ops 1 if you guys, I'll give you a couple of seconds to name this map. It actually says it here, it's Stadium from Black Ops 1. It was a DLC map, it was then brought back as a map called Takeoff in Black Ops 2 as a DLC map, which you guys may well remember, but yeah, this is the theatre mode in Black Ops 1. This was created in 2010. I simply cannot believe how even games like Valorant, they still don't have a working theatre mode, and for the last several years it just hasn't worked in COD either, which is such a shame. But Black Ops 6, to all of our understandings, is a very polished game. Of course, the last game that Treyarch made came out in 2020, right? Several years ago. So the feeling now is that, yeah, Black Ops 6 is going to be a far more polished title, and they'll probably have had time to make a working theatre mode, which is just sensational for all involved. And actually, Doug made an interesting statement, because we know that he's no longer doing the pull-up challenge. Well, he is, but he's pushing it back to some degree. We don't know when, you know, his date is going to be, because he's injured, all these other things. We talked about it yesterday, but Doug actually said here in this clip that he will only come back to competitive, or he certainly will come back to competitive, if there is a theatre mode in the game. And, well, apparently there's going to be a theatre mode. So, welcome back, Doug said to Martin, to the Boston Breach, potentially. Couple of results here in the Challenger side, of course, have been all going up on the Breaking Point site. These numbers are, like, actually real, by the way. This is Clutch Rain, a good team. Bant, Cobra, Denza, Harry. They are playing against some of the Spanish guys. Now, the Spanish drama in that scene, I still don't quite comprehend what's going on there, because there are some really good players that are Spanish, and the Heretics team is not the four best Spanish players, and I've said this since the start of the season. There's some sort of drama. I don't really know what it is, but there's kind of like a couple of camps in the Spanish scene, and they don't seem to see eye to eye. Apparently Journey kind of, you know, well, apparently straddles the gap, right? Because he was on Miami earlier this season. Now he's on 5 Media Clan with Yakko. But it's these two guys, Rencor and Super. They've been around now for some time, and Super here drops 83 kills, 34 deaths for a 2.5 KD in the series. Now, his damage looks low because there was, I think, a lag out in the control, and he was apparently 23-9 after a couple of rounds of the control, and then he lost all that damage. So whatever damage you'd expect for 23 kills in a control, which is a good few thousand, add that onto the damage number, and that's kind of what you're actually looking at here. So this guy just dropped 2.5 on Cobra, Denza, Bant, and Harry, which is just completely absurd. Now, in the North American side, Arcitys team, they have been absolutely frying. This Law Gaming roster, I think Arcitys did a lot like sketch on Sparks team. It's always Challengers drama, isn't it? But anyway, they've been slapping everybody around. Arcitys has a 1.45 here. They 3-0'd these guys. I mean, 250 to 69 here on the 6-star. And then they 3-0'd these acrylic esports guys with just Machilla, who actually has returned to competitive now, ReeaL and these guys. But they've 3-0'd everyone they've played. I think they're 12-0 map count so far. I mean, look at this. 6-0 on the Invasion. Arcitys, I think, went 11-0 on the Invasion. Uli as well, a player that was on Ravens last year, and honestly maybe deserves another shot, but it's just one of these players when you play for Ravens or Paris or whatever, doesn't go so well, and all of a sudden people are like, oh, well, you know, we're going to try somebody else over you type thing. But this Law Gaming team is looking really good right now. Nice to see a return to form from Arcitys, really, especially if you can win the Challengers World Championship. That would be a really cool story to see. There was also this yesterday from the Ravens facility. This is Brian Saint's penthouse. We can see how high up he is here in the background, but this is the setup, obviously, for the Ravens guys, and for some reason this is fellow getting crushed by the backdrop that stopped down from behind him. So yeah, as Clay said, absolute natural disaster here. There was also this I thought was worthy of note here from Puckett, because Puckett obviously is on the desk, absolute esports Hall of Famer, legend of the scene, and the couple of times I've had the pleasure to be on the desk alongside Puckett, this guy is just so good you would not even believe how easy he makes it for you to be up on that desk. But he makes an interesting comment here, because him and his family, they live in New York, and then when he has to go to Columbus to the studio to actually run the matches on the weekends, he's flying all the time, right? And this is the number of flights that he's going to be taking over 7 months. Now, I think he said in the replies the travel to events is all covered, right? But the rates that he negotiated for, I guess, the regular season pay didn't really include these flights, because he thought, I think he said in the replies basically that he was looking into the numbers and thought, okay, there'll be like $200 a flight or something, but he didn't maybe calculate it properly when negotiating, and it's actually way more expensive than he thought. So the implication is kind of, well, the implication is basically if the CDL, let's say next year, don't compensate me for this travel, because, you know, this is the way that he wants to do things, then he's not necessarily going to take the job again. So hopefully that's not the case and Puckett doesn't like step away from competitive COD, but hopefully the CDL just has more money to pay for him, which would be absolutely the correct solution. There was a bit of an update as well on this yesterday. We saw the Tupac versus Pred drama when Preds came out and said, oh, this guy is terrible. Now you got to understand as well, Pro 8s, especially Search and Destroy, it ain't that deep, you know. People just run around and get killed. Like, it's not Pro Search and Destroy on the Pro level where you're playing for, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Basically, Pro 8, where there's a bit of money on the line, they just run around, take chows, and play for fun. Like, it's a different style of search than is played in the actual CDL. Then Tupac came out and came up with like 4 screenshots from the 8's lobby showing how Pred is terrible at all this. And Pred then replies and says, come on, brother, you're a grown man. Don't get so upset. Bro's got screenshots of 8s. And it took him about, you know, 2 or 3 minutes to ratio Tupac here. They then had a bit of a further reply, and he says, look, bro, I called you Kangaroo Jack. The screenshots are probably over the top, to be fair, but talking that crazy and not expecting me to say something when I see it is hilarious work out of you, Predator. You really are comedy, he says. So he's like, look, Pred, you were talking mad and therefore I'm gonna clap back. And Pred's like, look, bro, I wasn't talking crazy, I just said you were awful. Like, that's just standard trash talk. But obviously Tupac says whatever, and they have a further back and forth. So yeah, entertaining stuff, I'm not gonna lie. It's interesting because, as I said yesterday, Tupac, great Search and Destroy player. Maybe there's an argument that this year in Search and Destroy Chows and, you know, 8 and stuff, Tupac hasn't been quite as good as maybe he usually is, I would say. And FaZe's Search and Destroy, I guess on average, has been a little bit weaker this year than it has been previously. Of course, he's the Search and Destroy coach for them. Obviously, Major 3, that was what most certainly cost them, but plenty else to dive into as well. The Esports World Cup continues to be a big topic of discussion here because I've mentioned over the last few days, I don't really know what the format's going to be. We believe there's a $1.8 million prize for the Modern Warfare 3 competitive COD stuff. Are the CDL teams, as the CDL teams, going to get invited to that? Is it going to be, you know, a couple of players from a CDL team that have to join other teams, get loaned out? I don't really know how it's going to work. I don't even know if it's going to be run especially well because it's the first time they're doing this whole thing, but, you know, the money is there. You'd think they could execute a pretty damn solid event. But I guess the question would be, given it's 1 month after the World Championship and there's $1.8 million on the line, what does that mean for Rostermania? Champs is going to happen in the middle of July. Usually, in the next 3-4 weeks after July, certainly the top teams get their rosters locked down, but often you'll find that Vegas and London or whatever, even if those organisations still exist next year, they will bide their time. They will not sign players until like November, until they literally have to, because then they can save on 3 months of salary. But if they've then got a massive World Cup in August, what do you do? Have you not got to conclude Rostermania within 3 to 4 weeks, run the Esports World Cup in Saudi Arabia, and then if your team is terrible, then you might have to blow it up, mightn't you, right? Going into the second part of the off-season. So I think it's going to make for a fascinating off-season, really, when Rostermania might have to be concluded, assuming that it is the CDL teams that are going to ReeaL for this event. They might have to figure out within, you know, 2 to 3 weeks all of the rosters and get things locked down with all of the rosters. And then some of those teams are going to go to the World Cup and probably get slammed. And, you know, look, it's going to be a different game we play next cycle than this cycle. But I don't know, maybe some of those teams are going to make changes again. It's going to be quite fascinating. As was this vlog here, though, from Scrappy. So, look, Scrap, great personality, as we full well know. He puts out this vlog during the Toronto Major, and he's his first ever vlog. It's a 45-minute vlog. Like, this is an epic piece of content that Scrap put out here. So, yeah, definitely go show some support. Watch it after this video, whatever you want to do. But I just wanted to share a brief clip here from, well, Scump talking about the Esports World Cup, but also Scump in this major vlog itself, when Scump's trying to talk trash, but I think Scump probably gets the better of the exchange here, saying, look, I've got a nice iced out gold OpTic chain, you know, where's yours, Scrap, where's yours? Maybe it's coming at some point. We've heard people talk for some time now about potentially joining the Green Wall, but given their performance at this event in Toronto, of course, beaten Scrap 4 in the grand finals makes you think that probably Scrappy to OpTic at least next year is highly unlikely. And I think if you guys have listened to the Around the Bar episode with Kenny with Hitch, like, there's just no way in OpTic's right mind they can get rid of Kenny from that team. I think many of us said it since the start of the season. So where would Scrappy fit in? It's kind of difficult to say.
Yeah, why would it be an L? Why would it be an L? I mean, it's a huge tournament. It gives the pros an extra thing to play for. It gives the community an extra thing to watch. I mean, it's basically another champs. It extends, if this thing happens, it extends the Call of Duty season by a month. I mean, I think this is nuts, bro. I think it's nuts. Obviously, this is still in the very infant stages. I mean, it's not guaranteed. This is all found by coders, basically, looking shit up. But if we get to watch more competitive Call of Duty, especially for this prize, I mean, dude.
Here he is! Oh, I need him for the vlog. Yeah! Yeah! That's who I need.
What's up with him, man?
Let's get Kit. I appreciate it.
Yo.
There he is. King is in the vlog. This is easy K, 100K views.
I love the ball. Good to see you.
This guy thinks he's icy and shit.
Huh?
Fuck out of here. Shit's
Where's yours?
Where's mine? At home.
He's throwing you all over the vlog.
What did you say?
We'll see you later, Sam.
No, I gotta get back. I'll fix my play. I gotta get back.
Yeah,
Oh, he's gotta get back.
better announce it.
King in the vlog, easy 100K views.
If Scrappy comes top 4 at the World Championship this year, he will potentially get closer to joining this list of players that have placed top 4 or better at every World Championship they've played at, minimum 3 appearances. So iLLeY is one of them, Fellow is another, which is kind of remarkable actually to think about the teams that he was on way back in the day, and then even I guess like, you know, Dallas Empire in more recent times in Cold War. The only other name of course here is Simp, because aBeZy placed I think top 32 whatever it was at his first ever World Championship back in World War II on Enigma 6 or something, before he obviously joined up with Simp for the next season. There are a couple of players though that could join this year, because the last 2 years Seattle Surge have come, I think, what is it, 3rd and 4th maybe at the World Championship, which is pretty commendable considering, and that's Pred and Sib. So assuming Subliners get top 4, Sib will be on this list, and assuming OpTic get top 4, Pred will be on this list as well, placing top 4 or better at every single World Championship appearance, and, you know, iLLeY's not going to be there. Fellow, well, we'll see if he's even there, I guess, right? And then Simp you would expect to maintain this legacy for now. These are the top 5 KDs after the first weekend. Ghosty and Kremper actually right up here. Of course, they slapped around the Boston Breach. HyDra's here as always. Johnny, aBeZy. Will be interesting to see if Cellium has a big bounce back week this weekend, just because Cell is usually always up here, right? But not to be found right now. And actually, Cellium was not picked by any of us guys on the PrizePicks Fantasy. So if you guys want to get involved in this, it's still open for another couple of days. Pick your fantasy team. If you choose the best team, you win some money. There's about $1,000 on the line across all those who pick the best teams. My team, I'm not gonna lie, is pretty nice. Like, if you have to pick a team, like, my team should be good. It depends. Like, it's really difficult to say how people are gonna do online going into LAN, but Simp, Captain, Pred, Dashy, Beans is pretty nice. Like, I should be cooking these forts, I'm not gonna lie, but we'll see what happens. These are the matches for this weekend, beginning of course today on the Friday. Subliners versus Seattle Surge, the little man battle, right? 0-4 versus Sib after all the trash talk that happened online when Seattle beat them a while ago. New York beat them on LAN, but online, what's going to happen again? Could Surge have the benefit of the doubt? I think this is going to be a really interesting series. I might lean New York's favour in 5 just because I think that Sib is really going to want to win, and that was the case of the major and he won, so I think I've got to give them the slight benefit, but I definitely think Surge can win this series. Miami versus Minnesota is really interesting here. Miami, I think, are the better team if they have Vikul back in their roster, and they probably should win, but I just wonder whether Vikul stepping out in the way that he did might have some further consequences. And then Ravens versus Atlanta FaZe, it should be a FaZe dub. Like, Ravens have had a really hard start to this stretch. They play FaZe, they then play Thieves, which is almost bordering on a must-win for Ravens, given their current CDL position. But very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.